Well, it's Friday and the end of another fairly busy week. I kicked off again on a Sunday, and I'm glad to say that's the last Sunday for 6 weeks that I have to go down to London, because with luck we will all have a 6 week recess, but that doesn't mean that the work comes to an end. But it was a busy last week. I started off on Monday morning in the Wales office because we're currently pushing very hard on the North Wales growth deal, and I was also putting the final touches to the announcement in relation to the Porthmadog tax office. More about that later. I then went on to the Whips meeting, and I think there was a real anger in the Whips meeting this week, because one of the debates which had been scheduled for Monday was a debate to talk about the abuse of the general public and candidates during the last general election, in view of the oversubscribing of MPs to the debate that was held in Westminster Hall. The government had made time available to debate the issue in depth in the full chamber of the House. However, clearly the Labour Party are not keen on such a debate, because they decided to have a debate about having a debate on another issue. So they used a very odd parliamentary procedure called an SO24 debate, and you don't really need to know what an SO24 debate is, but it basically means that they could have an emergency debate about why we were not having debates about things that the Labour Party wanted to talk about. Clearly they don't want to talk about the abuse of candidates, which is no surprise in view of the fact that this was orchestrated by elements that support the Labour Party. So as a result of the Labour Party behaviour, we had hours and hours of talking about what we should be debating in Parliament, but we had no debate about the fact that candidates, individuals, members of the general public were abused, threatened and intimidated during the last general election. If the Labour Party are serious about dealing with this issue, they would have allowed us to have a debate. They did not, and you can take from that the reality of the fact that the Labour Party have a guilty conscience. It might have been the case that they didn't want that debate, because on Tuesday, it became very clear that some of the promises made by the Labour Party during the general election campaign were simply lies. So we now have a situation in which everything that Jeremy Corbyn said about student tuition fees is being denied by his own shadow cabinet. Now, in view of the fact that those members of the shadow cabinet who voted against Jeremy Corbyn's line on leaving the European Union were sacked, I wonder whether Angela Rayner is going to be sacked, whether Sarah Champion is going to be sacked, because they made it very clear, as did John McDonnell, the Shadow Chancellor, that Jeremy Corbyn's promise to the people who have student debts, the promise he made that they would be looked at and dealt with, was nothing other than an aspiration. I know cynicism when I see it in politics, but perhaps that's why Labour didn't want to have any debate in Parliament last week. But from my perspective on Tuesday, the highlight was a good meeting with the Northern Powerhouse Minister. The Northern Powerhouse is changing the way in which this country is governed. We've devolved power to Merseyside, we're devolving power to Greater Manchester, we're devolving power to parts of Yorkshire. And this is something which we're doing regardless of who wins those mayor elections. Now, my aspiration is to have a growth deal for North Wales, which links into the Northern Powerhouse, and I had a fantastic meeting with the new Northern Powerhouse Minister, Jake Berry, to see how we can move along quickly with the situation in Wales. Wednesday morning saw me back in Westminster Hall, responding to a debate by Joe Stevens, the Labour MP for Cardiff Central. It was a debate about the Queen's speech and its impact upon Wales, and I think that lasted an hour and a half. Joe made a really passionate speech about why we should not be leaving the European Union, which probably explains why she is now a backbencher within the Labour Party rather than a member of the front bench, which she was previously. Following that debate, I immediately caught the train back to North Wales, because I had meetings with the leader of Wrexham Council, the chief executive of Wrexham Council and the leader and chief executive of Denbighshire to talk about the growth deal for North Wales. And I was delighted as to how passionate and committed both local authorities were to the concept. We are moving forward on this, and there will be, I hope, good news in due course. Thursday, I was delighted to go to Porthmadog to announce the fact that the decision to relocate jobs from Porthmadog to Cardiff had been changed as a result of pressure from both HMRC, to be fair, and also from the Wales office. And even better was the fact that the idea of relocating the tax office in Porthmadog to share the offices of the Department of Work and Pensions ensured that those positions were protected here in North Wales. And I think you can compare and contrast the fact that the argument was made by Conservative ministers to ensure that we looked after jobs here in North Wales. You can contrast that with the decision of the Welsh Labour government to set up their new Treasury function in Treforest. The Labour Party said that they would not be having a new Treasury function in Cardiff, so that they decided to locate it 9 miles away in Treforest. Again, a snub by Welsh Labour to North Wales. and that can be contrasted with the arguments made within government by Conservative members from North Wales to make sure that the tax office jobs in Porthmadog stayed in Porthmadog. So I was very pleased to visit both the tax office in Porthmadog and also the DWP team in Porthmadog, and both of them are looking forward to working together in the new UK government hub in Porthmadog. Good news for Porthmadog, good news to people in North West Wales, and a commitment by the UK government for Welsh language services, good jobs here in North Wales. And today, back in Aberconwy, I'm glad to say, a surgery this morning where I had constituents coming in with a variety of issues. I'm now just checking my diary for next week, which will again be a busy week despite the fact that I'm not going down to London, and I hope I'll be giving you my last weekly report before I go on a week holiday next week.